If needlework is your passion, whether you're stitching by hand, machine, or mixing it all up, you're going to want to hear about the Mr. X Stitch Contemporary Needlework Prize 2025. This prize celebrates the best in modern stitch, and it's open to creatives from all around the world, whether you're a student or an emerging artist or a seasoned professional. And the best part, you don't have to send your work anywhere. Just upload high-resolution images to a private folder we will send you after you enter. You can enter more than one category, for instance, hand embroidery and 3D textiles. Just grab an entry for each one. And if you've got a student ID, you can get 50% off the entry price as well. The deadline for entering is 30th of June 2025, and entries are now open at xstitchmag.com/prize-entry. Thanks to our brilliant sponsors, Bookmarked Hub by Search Press and David and Charles, and the legends at Lowry Workstands. If you've got the stitch bug, this is your time. Show us what you've got. Enter the prize now. Visit xstitchmag.com/prize-entry to get your ticket today. Per Fhager is a Swedish needlepoint artist who recreates 1980s and 1990s video games in large-scale needlepoint form. Per's work recognises the detail that goes into video games that is often missed by the consumer. He honours the backgrounds and the landscapes that are created. He chooses moments of pixel art that are amazing and immortalises them with a variety of stitches, and in doing so honours the needlepoint traditions as well as the video game traditions. In this second part of our interview, we talk around the houses. We understand how Per evolved as an artist, why the use of variety in his stitching is important, and then we cover some of his favourite books, films, TV shows, that kind of thing. Per's work's amazing. If you want to see his work, it is on at the Gobelin Art Centre until early April. So if you're in Sweden, head on over, have a look, and do let me know what you think of the show. I hope you enjoyed this show. I'll be back next week with an interview with a different artist. And in the meantime, if you have enjoyed this show, if you're able to review it on your favourite podcast platform, I would be very grateful. Thanks for your time, everybody. Enjoy the show. The other thing that's great about your work, and I remember having a conversation with you about this, I think because people don't realise it, but you have a lot of variety of stitches. You do a lot of honouring the other types of needlepoint stitches. Tell me all about that, please.
To me, it's super important to acknowledge the fact that I'm part of this tradition. So I've read a lot, I've studied a lot, these techniques, where they come from, you know, what history am I continuing? So I always start off in literature and doing research about stitches. So, and then once I know that, I can remix them and create my own. So, and I guess that's how many stitches has, came into exist, because people have started to mix. So if you consider the rice stitch, it's like a cross stitch with 4 little stitches on the sides. So you can really figure out somebody once did this and then it became a stitch. So, but the techniques also, when I do a new series of works, I start off with all the screenshots from the games, and then I have like a library of techniques, and then I mix and match. So it depends on how the motif look, what stitches I can use. So I'm going to switch the camera now. So you can see the one on the right. That's 27,000 pixels. And each pixel is a double cross stitch. So that's 4 stitches. And there's one up and one down for each stitch. So it's 8 times, I don't even know how many movements that is. But each pixel is one color, basically. So I can't really do like a big filled surface. If you compare to these two, they have more clean surfaces. And then I can work a more complex stitch there. And also another one with the whales, you can't see it here, but it's like this Norwich stitch.
Right.
I guess it's something British.
Yeah.
It's like a cross stitch. It looks really advanced, but it's quite easy to do once you know the order. But then I could fill the big area with that stitch.
Yeah, I think if anybody wants to find out about these techniques, I did an interview with Emma Homan, Maker's Marks, did a podcast with her, number 3, I think, or something. And she's not only done a book with lots of the needlepoint types in them, but she's also got a collection of cards now as well, which are quite useful.
Maybe I have that book. Yeah, I have a similar book. Yeah, like a really chunky book.
Yeah, but have you ever thought you've invented a stitch and then you found out it's already been invented?
No, I don't invent. I'm more. Do you know long-legged cross stitch?
Okay, yeah, I think so.
It's twism, yeah, and I think that's kind of a Swedish thing from the beginning. You know, you go up 2 and then back 1, like so it's like a braid almost.
Yeah.
And what I've done with that is I just scaled it up, so I do it over 4 pixels, for example.
Right.
Like in the work back there.
Okay.
So that I haven't really seen, because usually people do it over one pixel or 1 unit. So I kind of remix the techniques. But I don't know. No, I don't think I've invented anything. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do hope that at the end of all this, somewhere there is a Fhager stitch. I feel like that needs to be a part of this somewhere down the line, doesn't it?
And I can tell you that stitch is going to be a stitch that covers like 40 pixels in one motion. Just I can do a piece of work in an afternoon and then move on in life. That will be the pair stitch.
Yeah. Have you got any stitches that you really enjoy stitching? Ones that
I like to do like the Gobelin stitch when it's like an alternating long stitch over multiple pixels.
Yeah.
And I do them diagonally quite often. I don't know if people do that. I call it Gobelin stitch. I never really seen it. So it's just like, imagine doing like a petit point or a half cross, but it's just longer, and then they alternate.
Yeah.
And that's really satisfying because it's so fast once you do the big areas. It's just... And people say, oh, isn't that boring to do just one color or just to do white? But I'm like, it's not worse than stitching a cardigan where you work one yarn. So to me, this is really, that's where I make progress. It's in the big area. So to me, that's just a bonus.
Yeah. You refer them back to that stitch where it takes 8 stitches to do a single pixel. You'd be like, yeah, that's the one.
Oh my goodness. That's just crazy.
Because that Gobelin stitch as well, that feels like you're almost heading in a Bargello direction as well, isn't it? Is that same kind of vibe?
Yeah, so I made some pieces kind of... It's not Bargello in the sense that it's different colors, but it is that there's a shape and then it's just repeated on every row. So I think that's a really interesting texture to do, and I will definitely explore that more. When I started off doing this, I was very rigid. So I had to stick to the formula. I had to just do one stitch, not play around with different techniques in one picture. So it should be, I wanted it to feel kind of like automated or very technical. But now I kind of loosen the reins a bit. So I allow myself to have more fun and work with stitches in different sizes on the big areas, and then go smaller where the details are, like people have done for ages, because it's faster also. But to me, I'm allowing that now, and it's more fun. And I think it turned out great. I was afraid it's going to be too messy because the pictures themselves are kind of garish sometimes, and there's a lot going on. So I don't want to add even more layers, but it's turned out better than I anticipated, actually. So I will do more of that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. I don't think you do too many of the obvious video games. Do you prefer to find the video games that are a bit more obscure?
Yes, sometimes, yes. And also sometimes I do the top of mind stuff. So the blue one, if you Google Mega Man 2, this is the picture you will get.
Right.
So this is one of those obvious ones. But this exhibition here, from the beginning, the idea was to do games that I didn't know about before. So it's a lot of games that have not been released outside of Japan, either because they were too weird, or they were too difficult, or too bad. But sometimes, like a quality issue. So they didn't bother with the localization and translation. They just released it in Japan only.
Right.
But usually, sometimes they still have a really interesting aesthetic, and that's what matters to me. So there's a few pictures here. These two games are really obscure. If you're into it, you know them. But if you don't, you have no idea. But a lot of people that come to my shows, they don't even know what video games are. They have no relation to this medium. So in that sense, it doesn't matter if I do a famous game or the most obscure, because it's about the aesthetic to me. So that was kind of a freedom when I realized that. And also, I don't want to cling on too much. I don't want to rely too much on recognition. So I want the aesthetics and the energy in the screenshot to be the main driver, not just recognizing the characters.
Yeah, because you run a risk, don't you, of it just being novelty?
Yes, and also that you always cater to that. So I want to feel free, and I want to do the games that matter to me. So that's the most important thing.
So are you quite a video game nerd now? Like, has that continued to grow?
Yes. So when I have a show, there's the craft nerds, and then there's the video game nerds. So you imagine me, I'm a double nerd. So I'm completely lost.
It's a Venn diagram.
There's no hope for me.
You're in the middle of it.
There's no. Yeah, I'm quite nerdy, and video gaming I was really into it when I was younger and a teenager, and then I had my dark years, so I didn't pick it up for a long time, and then I rediscovered it. Just like with many other interests, you find your way back to it. So doing all these different games are from different eras of my childhood. So going into this is really, it's like processing my life in a way. So when I play this game, some things happen in life, and when I play this game, other things happened in my life. So it's quite emotional, actually.
That
journey.
And the thing is, as well, is that in the production process, you'll just be dwelling in that space, won't you?
Yeah, it's like torture sometimes.
Probably, I was going to say.
I just want to get rid of it. Yeah, it's joy, but it's also sometimes a few of these works I became quite emotional, actually.
Yeah.
It kind of stirred a lot of memories in a good way, but still, I got shaken.
Can we dig into that a little bit? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but sometimes, especially in my teenage years, I think I had a great need to escape. Just escape into something else. And to some people, that could be music or movies or books, whatever. To me, it was the games. And at that time, I had Game Boy, so I could bring it out. So I went out in the woods and played Zelda on the Game Boy. So that was really, it was the perfect escape to me during tough times. And it still is. So I will always, dive into these worlds when I feel the need to just, reboot myself in a way and gather new energy.
Yeah. What are the most interesting video games that not a lot of people know?
To me, I think for Game Boy especially, there's a lot of really cool games. So this game, Trip World, is now, these days, a lot of these games have been re-released, so they are more widespread. But in the past, they weren't. So they were like the hidden gems that you could find that nobody else knew about, or at least that's how it felt.
Yeah.
So and I think now, also in new games, I played this game called Tunic. It's a new game, a Zelda-inspired game, focus on a mystery. And this mystery, that was the first time as an adult that I re-experienced that sense of wonder and mystery I had when I played Zelda the first time when I was 8 years. You had no idea what this was. I didn't even know what a video game was. And these worlds, you don't really have any guidance. You just have to find it out yourself. And this game, Tunic, really embodied that to me. And it was just incredible experience. So, I never thought I would experience that again, actually.
Yeah, that's quite nice, isn't it? Because you sort of think
Yes.
the innocence of childhood, you feel like you lose it completely when you become an adult.
Yeah, it's never coming back.
That's really cool. Do you ever reach out to the video game companies?
No, not really. I don't know. No, I I'm so into my own processes, and I kind of share what I do, and if people see that, I'm happy. If they don't see it, then you know I just I do this for me as well. If I didn't do it for me, I wouldn't have the stamina to pull through. If I were just doing this to please someone else, I could never do that. So it's always deriving from me.
Yeah. I just wonder because, I got a book a little while ago that was about pixel art, and it was looking at kind of maybe more like the UK video games, because we used to have the ZX Spectrum, and there were like some of the games that came out there. But there's a nostalgia there, and then there are these key people who were involved in those games at the time. And I'm not saying you should reach out to the companies to go, do we want to work together? But I just wonder whether if you got in touch with people who had made some of these games, how they would feel about your work because like we said before, you're immortalizing stuff that they've put loads of work into that nobody else has noticed,
I hope they see it that way as well. No, I don't know. Maybe it will happen at some point. I have no idea. That would just, then I would feel, then my work is done, maybe. Then when I've kind of gone full circle with this.
It's just fascinating because I think it's, because of the overlap between cross-stitch and pixel art, I'm always interested in it. I'm quite interested in it from a typography standpoint as well. But I just think you see now the third, fourth generation pixel artists, and there's a couple of Facebook groups of people who just produce amazing stuff. Their Command of the Squares.
They are so talented.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where it's interesting because then you think they're the ones who are looking back at these video games almost the way, I don't know, sculptors look back at early sculptors or painters look back at the Renaissance period or whatever. It's a fascinating timeline.
And people also ask me about the pixel aesthetic. Will this go away? Will this die out? But to me, this is really, it's another baseline of visual arts. So it's the same as you would do a movie or photo in black and white. We don't have to do that, but people do it anyway. And I think that will always exist because it evokes something else. And it's the same with pixels, that it evokes other feelings and emotions, I think, when you look at it. So to me, this will always stick around. And it's also fun, I think, to see young kids today, because of games like Minecraft, they have a relationship to this aesthetic. So and that's also an entry point, of course, to these old games, and where does this come from? So I think this won't go away anytime soon. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah,
the pixel aesthetic.
Yeah, and I think what's nice. I think is that pixel art as a genre is keeping that alive, because I think it feels like the mechanics and the economics of video games is like Unreal Engines. The more realistic that head being blown up is, the better. But actually, I was talking with Stephanie Matheson Aviles, who's fine frog stitching, and she comes from a pixel art background, and they're trained to work with less. They're trained to be able to edit their work and translate the smallest possible number of squares into something visual. And I think that's such a strong design approach.
Yes. And to me also, it's really clear, also working as a designer professionally for businesses, working within a framework is what gives me energy. So that kind of depends how you function as a person. Either you want to be completely free because you just feel hampered if you have these limitations. But to me, that's a foundation to do creative work. And considering this, it's like a framework within a framework within a framework. So it's someone else's imagery, and then I'm stuck to the canvas squares, and then I'm stuck to the yarn colors, So I operate in this tiny little box, and I just love that. So, but some people, they don't understand it, so they just feel like, why don't you want to draw your own pictures, or be free. But to me, this is freedom. I
Yeah.
just love this.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of cross stitchers that feel that way. I can
Yeah.
remember doing a bit of freehand embroidery once and just being almost
Oof.
like
Oh, I
overwhelmed
could
by
never
the
do that.
choice. Yeah, it's almost like
I
there's so much
respect
you can
people
do.
doing it, but I could never do that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just I could round lines and things like that. Ooh.
Yeah. Yes. Give me those little squares every day.
My world crumbles when I think about it.
So Soft Pixels 2 then is on from February until April. And then you said
Yes.
it's moving on. Where's it going to next?
It's moving on to another city called Ronneby, and that's the southern part of Sweden. So you can go there from a couple of hours from Malmö, Copenhagen area. Malmö is in the opposite side of Copenhagen in Sweden, and then you need to go for a couple of hours. So it's kind of remote in a way, but that's going to be really exciting. And also, every time there's a new exhibition, there's a new venue, there's new people, having their own view of what this is. And I think that's really, it gives me so much just to hear these ideas. So to me, I don't want to control every single aspect of the exhibitions. I think it turns out better if someone else does that. So it's filtered through another person's creative eye. So I really look forward to that. So we'll see how it ends up.
Yeah. Super exciting that. I was just thinking, I'm going to ask you my bog standard questions in a minute, but I was just thinking about the kind of Nordic needlework tradition and the fact that you were taught it at school, and what you're doing does kind of place you within that context, doesn't it? As being someone who's a bit of a disruptor. I just wonder what the value of the needlework in Sweden is. I can't think of what the question is, but you're part of this thing. And this thing is quite it's a strong tradition over your way, right?
I think at least in the past. Now, I don't know. There's people doing it, obviously, but I'm not really into the details of what other people do in that sense. But I know it exists, just like it does all over the world. But there's a lot of people who don't use craft with their hands as well. So it's really, I would say it's the same as in other countries, I think.
Right.
But it's fun when you consider this one with the long-legged cross-stitch or twist sum. So that's from Sweden, and specifically it's from the southern part of Sweden, from Skåne. So I used to live there before I moved to Gothenburg now, and that felt really incredible to be a part of that tradition, and also in that very space where this stitch originates from. And now I can see people doing this in Japan, for example, and they call it twist sum because it's like smörgåsbord. So it's like a Swedish word for it.
Right.
Because, so it derives from Sweden. So that's really, I feel really humbled by that.
Yeah, that's a nice nod, that is. I like that. Right. We've got 4 questions for you then. Are you ready for these? These are big.
Oof,
okay.
You're scaring me.
Do you have a favorite band?
A favorite band? Not so much bands, but I like more artists. But I listen to so much music. Right now I listen to 90s, rave from the 90s.
Wow.
So it's a lot of nostalgia there as well. So
do you listen to music while you're working?
Yes, that's ambient stuff.
Right.
Usually without vocals.
Do you need if you're doing work of certain colorways, do you listen to certain types of music? Is there a connection?
No, but sometimes I need energy, so then I listen to upbeat stuff. So a couple of days ago I really needed a pickup. So then it was boom, 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 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right, yeah, really busting.
But usually it's more lo-fi and things like that, kind of.
Are there any particular artists that you would name, check? Any recommendations for me?
What I really, really like, and that's not related to cross-stitch at all. So it's a Swedish artist called Alexander Thalén, and he does these sculptures that derive from Baroque figurines, but the motifs are contemporary. So it's contemporary people with contemporary clothes, but it's done in these intricate, detailed figurines. So the way I see it, it's not the same as I do, but it's similar in a way that is also disrupting and using a traditional technique with a contemporary motif.
Yeah. No, I like that. Good bit of reframing there. Do you have a favorite book?
Oh, I love the K Facet books from the 80s.
Yeah, I remember I read a thing. He unlocked a lot for you, didn't he?
Yeah, that was really. I was lucky enough to have those books in the family when I grew up, and that was the stitching and also the needlework books. That was really, and also I know he made this sofa
Hmm.
that kind of continued. It was a tapestry in the back, and the sofa was in the same. It just continued like a half cross stitch
Right.
needlepoint, and that was when I was doubting if I would ever be able to finish these complex works. I always thought about if Cave could do it,
Yeah,
I
right.
can do it. It's not impossible. So he's been a huge inspiration.
Mm.
And I just love those old books. I also knitted some pieces like clothes. It's these oversized knits with these like earth tone yarns. I just love that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
Gorgeous.
actually. Do you do other crafts?
I do knitting sometimes, and I also do crochet. So now I'm doing like a sweater in crochet, and I'm incorporating a motif from one of my works, like a crazy thing. So I
Hmm.
will wear it and take a picture, I think, just to
Yeah.
do something fun. So I think it was when I had a Christmas holiday, I needed to do something else. And I just love crochet. It's just so fast and easy to pick up. No big stretcher frames.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But also, Tunisian crochet, I think, naturally creates a grid
Oh,
that you
I
can
love that.
do
Oh, yeah,
cross
yeah,
stitch
yeah.
on,
And
can't you?
that really is suitable for pixel art. It's
Mm.
really nice and neat and tidy and dense. So they kind of keep the shape,
Mm.
the motifs.
Yeah, love a
Love
bit of that.
that.
Good job. Do you have a favorite film slash TV show?
Uh, Favorite film? Oh, that's so difficult.
What was the
Uh,
last good film you watched?
that was The Tenant by Roman Polanski.
Okay. Mm.
And before that, I watched another. It's called Possession with Sam Neill. It's
Right.
from 81 or 80. It's a bizarre psychological horror drama. That was really. I just love that. That was a hidden gem for me to discover that movie.
Right.
Uh, and in regards to uh, what did you say more?
Television programs.
Ah, I love Seinfeld.
Oh.
Makes me laugh. Yes.
Mm. I was going to say the psychological thrillers are an interesting counterpoint to the general playfulness of all the other stuff
Yeah,
we
yeah,
talked
yeah.
about.
But to me, that's also creativity. These movies because they are so out there. So in order to be able to do that, you need to be liberated creatively
Mm.
to work without boundaries and also pushing the boundaries. So in
Hmm.
that way, it's similar, even though the packaging is not.
And when you're stitching, do you watch anything or do you just listen to music so you can
No, I
focus?
just watched the yarn. Yeah,
Right.
if I look away for 1 second, I'm going to put the needle in the wrong hole.
Right. Yeah.
And then I'm like, why did you look away,
You
you stupid
fool!
idiot?
You learnt
Don't do
nothing.
that.
Very good.
Look at the yarn. Focus.
I've told you 10 million times.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I
Jeez.
scold myself sometimes out loud because nobody's there.
Right.
I'm really sick.
Okay. Right. And then is there an interesting fact that nobody knows about Per Fhager?
Um,
I'll tell you. I mean, I'll ask you a different question in that case then, because I didn't
yes.
want to lean too
I'm
heavy
so
into
bad
it.
at these quick fire questions. I can't, there's
That's
just so much
okay.
in my mind.
That's
This is
okay.
really a weakness for me. Yes.
What can you say about working at Lego? That's a really interesting job to have had for a while.
Yeah, that was a dream job to me. So I applied 3 times and I worked as a graphic designer. So that means you do the faces on the characters, you do stickers. And I worked for Duplo, which is the preschool
Mm-hmm.
line. So it's for toddlers and a bit older. And that suited me. So that was an incredible experience. So I urge anyone who are into that to apply for these jobs because they pop out once in a while, and it's really, and there's people from all over the world. So that was an amazing experience. And I learned a lot from it as well. And also working with global products, you need to take a lot of things into account, especially when you work with product for kids. Kids can be, you can't really tell kids that things are cool or cute. It has to be cute, otherwise they just reject it. So you need to really consider every move you make and that it's decodable, everything you do.
Yeah, they're a really interesting company, aren't they? Because they're still like privately owned. Is there something about they're really trying to move away from making Lego out of plastic and trying to make it out of like...
I have no idea. I know they put a lot of effort in those in the future of the brand, obviously. So, but I have no idea where they're going now. It's really, there's a lot of secrecy. You know it once you're on the inside, but then once you're on the outside, you don't know it anymore.
Did you play with Lego much as a kid?
Yes. I love Lego. It's a system, with bricks in a grid. Of course I played with Lego.
I only have one colour and I'm only allowed to make things 4 inches wide. I absolutely love it.
No, but it's a system. So of course that was appealing to me.
Yeah. I always liked, I don't know whether you ever saw the Lego Masters TV show.
Yeah, that was fun. We have it in Sweden. It's like all over the world now.
The thing I love the most about it is that it's one show where like an 8-year-old has got a fair chance of beating like a 35-year-old. You know what I mean? It's such a good playing field, that one.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Hey, Per, thanks for having a needle exchange with me.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I'm glad we made it happen finally.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Thanks for joining me on another Needle Exchange. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to email hello@needle.exchange, that's NEEDL.exchange, with any thoughts, comments or feedback. And if you want to keep up with all the news, sign up to the Needle Exchange mailing list at bit.ly/needle exchange. See you next time.